If you can hear drinking, it's because my rat is drinking in the background. Hi, my name's Nika Marie, aka Neeks, and like most nerd children, I used to read all the time. At lunch, in class, on the bus. But I get motion sick, so that stopped real quickly. Even in the bathroom. But like most adults with crippling anxiety, depression, multiple jobs, paying bills, dealing with loneliness, realizing your friends don't really care, or may just not be in your life anymore, therapy sessions, degrading self-worth, I mean, you get it, right? You probably lost your love of reading somewhere in there. So I'm here to give you some advice on how to rekindle your love of reading, as I just had to rekindle mine. The first step is figuring out what you like to read. You're reading every day, so you know that you can read. For me, it meant realizing that I've been reading comics and graphic novels, social media posts, and game dialogue for the last few years as my consumption for reading. I took that, I looked at what games I was playing, what comics I was reading, and the social media posts I was reading, and I said, sounds like fantasy or sci-fi might be a great idea, because I was mainly reading and playing fantasy sci-fi games, and a lot of people on social media are deluded. So, the fantasy is alive and real for them. 2, realize that your brain is going to need some retraining. Going from reading Twitter posts to an entire novel is going to require your brain to do some different things. Be sure to do your research, so you don't set yourself up for failure right out the gate. For example, I did my research online and found a bunch of YA novels that are in the fantasy and sci-fi realm. Why YA, you may ask? I didn't want anything too challenging, and YA typically has an easier reading pace for stories and an easier vocabulary. So if I was going to retrain my brain to be reading these longer formats, I wanted to set it up for a win. Plus, it was super easy because I've already lived through my teenage angst. Now I have adult angst. And number 3, set a goal. The easiest way to finish 400 pages is to read 10 pages first. I know, you're like, wow Nika, how did you get so smart? I don't know. Because I'm mainly focusing on busy adults in this video who have lost their love or time for reading, it's important for me to acknowledge that some adults have shut up, ambulance. It's like they don't realize the important work that I'm doing right now. Because I'm focusing on busy adults in this video, I have to acknowledge that a lot of adults have a lot of responsibilities. You might have kids, you might have a ton of pets. If maybe you work multiple jobs, like I said before, there's always something that led you from reading and it might still be in your life. So starting to build up your tolerance and ability to read again is very important. So at the end of this, just make sure you're setting yourself up for a win and you are setting yourself up for a little time every single day to do some reading. Start with 10 pages or 1 chapter. Then when your brain can handle that a lot easier, or you have the time, you can start pounding out 50 pages at a time, several chapters at a time, 100 pages in one sitting. You know, it all depends on what you can physically and mentally and emotionally do for yourself. On to my book recommendations. Again, all of these are in the fantasy genre. I don't think I even picked up a sci-fi book. I will check. But all of these are in the fantasy genre, all of these I've read, and these are all of the books that I would recommend to someone who's trying to get back into reading, who likes fantasy and sci-fi. That's very important. I've returned. I definitely want to recommend Kingdom of Souls by Rena Barron. I hope that I'm actually saying her name right. No, it's amazing. I just finished this the other day. I will have a longer video out about this later. This is not the first book, but the Bells series by Donnell Clayton. Very easy read. It was so interesting as, oh, this is sci-fi. I lied, fantasy sci-fi. This whole duology, which I actually think is getting a 3rd book, so hello darkness, my old friend. You know what I was trying to say. This whole series is really good so far. If you want a longer video about this, but again, there are booktubers everywhere. Go forth, find them. The Fallen Isles series by Jodi Meadows. This is the 3rd book in the series, but it starts with Before She Ignites, then As She Ascends, and finally When She Reigns. The whole series was really good. Fantasy YA. What can I say? It's a good story. It's a very soft story. It's a softer, action-y story. I liked it a lot. These two write her, okay? Probably my favorite duology of all time as of this moment. Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. Chef kiss. Totally recommend this. This is kind of like a piratey, dirty, gritty, action, angsty, heist novel duology, and I love it. I freaking love it. These are not YA, but they are books that I greatly enjoyed. I still need to get the 3rd one, but the 100,000 Kingdoms, followed by The Broken Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. These are mystery books by Preston and Child. I actually really like the Pendergast series. I was reading them a while ago, like years ago, and then I stopped reading and then I picked it recently back up. I love Pendergast. I think he's a pretentious cock, and I think the writing's a little bit pretentious, but it all fits together perfectly. So anyway, that's a long list of recommendations for if you're getting back into reading or you're kind of just trying to find some good books. So I recently found my love of reading again. I hope that you do too, and you can look out for more book reviews on this channel. Until next time, this has been me, Meeks, with some books. That was stupid. Why did I do that? Okay, bye.